Hi, welcome to another episode of Meet the Author. Tonight we have Nancy Butler, and she wrote the book, Above All Else, Success in Life and Business. How are you, Nancy?
Great.
Did you believe you had life figured out at a young age, only to realize you still had a lot to learn as hardships and loss became the norm? Author Nancy Butler knows how you feel. She married at age 15, had 2 children, and 16 years later found herself in the process of divorce without any child support or alimony. Having limited professional skills, she set out to find a career that would not only support her children, but would also help other people. Butler's story, told in practical, anecdotal fashion, will inspire you. Grow with her during her struggles as a young bride, and then as a young mother. Learn from her as she finds a profession in which she not only finds success, but also helps countless people design and fulfill their futures. Laugh with her as she shares funny moments from family life. Hurt with her as she loses her father and other loved ones, and then honors their legacies. Rejoice with her as she finds a second chance at love. Today, Nancy, in 1981, Butler built her financial planning and asset management business from scratch into a $195 million practice. 25 years later, she purposely chose her successor and sold the business to become a professional speaker, business coach, and author. She has been quoted in many local and national publications, including USA Today and The Day. She has been a speaker for many corporations such as Pfizer, General Dynamics, Dow Chemical, and has been a guest on several live TV and radio shows. Okay, so I feel honored that you're on Meet the Author, too. The best way I can start to describe Nancy Butler is just to raise this picture. And what did you want to say about that photo?
The cheetah had just finished eating, so they allowed me to lay down with him. This was March of this year in South Africa on a safari. So this is like out in the jungle, and that's a picture of the back of me laying down, petting the back of the cheetah.
So would you say you take chances in life, or you enjoy life to its fullest? I love this.
Calculated chances. That's the front of me laying down with the cheetah. And in the background, which is hard to see, there's other cheetah running around in the back.
Okay, what was the calculation here?
The calculation was that he ate first.
Okay. Well, we know that dolphins don't eat humans.
The dolphin was great. I actually went on a dolphin ride where you hold on to his back dorsal fin and he pulls you through the water. So that was my daughter and I in Florida, actually, with a dolphin.
Very nice. Okay, this is a beluga whale. I got that one right.
Beluga whale. Actually, I took my granddaughter and I went to see this beluga whale, and I didn't bring the picture of it, but he opens his mouth and you actually pet him on his tongue in his mouth.
Why would the whale let people put...
That's the way they like to be pet.
On their tongue.
Yeah.
A lot of sensors in the tongue. Very nice. This is the greatest one I've seen in a long time.
You like that best, huh? This was also in South Africa in March, but it was in Cape Town, not where their safari was. And my daughter, before we left, she had gone on the safari with me, and before we left, she said there was something on her bucket list, and would I do it with her? And I said, of course I would. So she and I flew 2 hours to Cape Town, got on a huge boat, went out into the ocean, put on wetsuits, got in a steel cage, were lowered into the ocean, where they pulled food around the cage to attract the great white sharks. I had underwater camera, so did she, and we took pictures, and I absolutely loved it. I was the only one on the boat that went down twice because I liked it so much.
Looks like a commercial for toothpaste, right?
Yeah, really. Or braces. One or
braces.
the other, yeah.
That's cool. Okay, now, just when you thought you tried everything.
This is many years ago. I put together a clown group, and I actually made all the costumes, put all the makeup together, and made everyone up. And we went around as a nonprofit organization. We went around to nursing homes. We were in parades just to make the lives of others better and to make them smile. In the parades, we'd throw out candy and play music in the car. And then in the nursing homes, I learned how to make balloon animals and hats and all kinds of things. And we would just stay and spend a couple of hours with people and cheering up their day.
We'll show the other picture later of your husband. Okay. So, what prompted you to write your book? What, you mentioned about your hard life, and in the end you became a success. Two questions that I'll start with. What prompted you to write the book? And it is a book about success and about success in life. What is the difference between this book and maybe other books that people wrote about being a successful person?
Okay, well, first question. Why did I write the book? I had no intentions of ever writing anything. I don't consider myself a writer, but so many people, when they heard about my background, told me I should write a book. And after being bugged enough, I finally said, okay, fine, I'll write the darn book. So I wrote the book. So that's kind of why I wrote the book. And then after I did it, I was really glad that I did. And anything in here about family or specific people, I had them read their parts first before I actually had the book published, so that they were okay with it.
Was that family members that asked you to write the book, or friends, or workers?
Both.
Both.
The business that I was in before, I had 1,200 clients. And a lot of them mentioned it, a lot of family mentioned it, friends mentioned it, a lot of people had said I should write a book, so I finally listened.
So what would be the difference between this book and some other success story?
Everyone's life is unique. Whether it's unique in a good way, unique in a bad way, or a combination of both, everyone's life is unique. And I think with this book, the one problem I've had, which is also why it's a different book, is people ask, what genre is it in? Who is it best suited for? And it's really hard to say because I cover so many different things. So, for example, this book is different because it's great for people in the process of a divorce, want to figure out how to get their act together, how to get to the next step and get on with their life and have a successful life.
You wrote from your own experience, too. You had been through a divorce, and you noticed that the financial cost or the finances that are involved, the financial planning involved in a divorce is very difficult, and you talk about that in your book.
I also took it a step further, though, in that I'm one of the few certified divorce financial analysts in the state of Connecticut, and I do have testified in court on what's financially fair between spouses and divorce. So there's information on that. Other things in the book about how I started the business, how I built it up, and then how I found someone to sell it, how I purposefully sold it, when I sold it, why I sold it. There's also things in here about aging. Over half of my 1,200 clients were over the age of 60, and I was in business for 25 years. So I saw a lot of people through the aging process, through death, through estate settlement, and even handling it through family members. So there's information there on what I like to say is what are some of the things you can do to enable you to maintain your independence as long as possible.
Yes, I saw that word. That was a very good definition of what's important in retirement, maintaining your independence.
Exactly.
We'll get back maybe to that a little bit later.
Okay.
So you have many strategies in the book to help individuals maintain their long-term quality of life. Would you share a few with us? And that will go with the independence part.
Right. And I think the best example I can give would be my own personal example. The year that I sold the business, we actually sold our home. And that home we had designed and built ourselves and absolutely loved it. It was the best house either of us had ever lived in, but we sold it. And the reason why was we designed and built a new house less than a mile away because we realized the home that we were in, although we loved it so much, was not something you could live in for the rest of your life. So you need to start looking at your surroundings and thinking about, could you live there and what would need to change? So when we built the new house, all the hallways are double wide. All the knobs on all the doors are levers, not knobs. The bathroom has a door on the shower with seats inside. A lot of those things. Some of the other things, though, on the financial end of things, on what you can do to get all your ducks in a row while your mind is sharp and make good decisions for yourself, to enable you to maintain your independence longer, because as we get older, we get very stuck in our ways, and it's hard to change.
Well, I related to that because at one time in my life I had been sick for a period of time, and I noticed I lived in a house where there were stairs, but there was no bedroom on the bottom floor. And I had a real problem with that. And then when later on in life I bought a house, again, I made sure that it was all level living. I didn't have to walk up any stairs. I have the washing machine and the dryer on the same floor, and even a fireplace for heating in case there's a power outage. That worked out quite well, but that was from bad experience. But I like another thing I can relate with. You talked about the fire, and you played a little bit of the psychologist, and you noticed, what did people take with them when there was a fire? And I'll tell you my story because it happened to me too.
Okay.
What happened? What did they take? What are some of the things that you'd be surprised that people took when there was a fire, and they can only take one thing with them in a rush?
Are you asking me about your story?
No, yours.
Oh, for mine? Okay. It was a riot.
I know my story.
Okay. It was a riot. And I thought that you would know what's important to people, but when it comes to kids, you really don't. So my youngest daughter, who happened to be about 7 years old at the time, she grabbed a rag doll that I had made her for the holidays and the clothes and ran out of the house. The oldest daughter, I just could not fathom why she did this. She had even pets in the house that she did not grab. She grabbed a blow dryer and a bottle of shampoo and ran out of the house. And after the fire was done and the day had passed, I said to her, "Explain to me what was going through your head. Why would you do that?" She said, "All I could think of was, no matter what happened to this house, tomorrow you were going to make me go to school, and I'm not going to school if I can't wash my hair and do my hair." She said, so I had to take that with me. I said, okay, fine. Fortunately, the animals did fine and everything went well, but yeah.
Well, I was in a house, and there was in an apartment building, and there was an explosion, and people had to run out in 1 second. And the amount of people that took a pack of cigarettes with them surprised me.
Oh, my.
But that was, not in the family that doesn't smoke, but in the apartment building. So that was very surprising that a pack of cigarettes was the most important thing in life.
Like they couldn't buy it once they were out.
Right. It's like, I got to get my cigarettes. Many small businesses owners have an idea in their head of what they want the business to be, but they have a hard time putting those ideas into a workable, manageable, and achievable plan. What do you recommend they do to pull this together?
Most of the businesses that I've worked with, and the ones that I've spoken to, even the ones I haven't worked with, we tend to go into business because we have a passion for something. So, for example, the person who loves to cook might open a restaurant because they love to cook. But they don't open the restaurant to hire and train and manage staff, to run the bookkeeping, to check on the equipment and all the technology and everything that's needed to run a business.
Sure, and also somebody doesn't want to necessarily come to your restaurant because you like to have, you like to cook.
Right.
They want to like the food,
Right. So it's a matter of getting a business owner to step out of the box and to look at the big picture of their business and what needs to happen to get it to the vision that they have, or to even get them to have a vision for what they want the business to be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years from now, and what do they need to do differently to get it there. So for that, you need to write a plan.
So what technique, that's the business plan. What techniques do you have to get to people who just hate, sitting down and writing a plan, and now they have to write a business plan? Do you have a secret?
Well, there's two types of plans, and the one I'm not talking about is the business plan you write for financing to take to the bank. The one I'm talking about is your own personal business plan on what you want to hold yourself accountable for to make sure that you get this done by the end of the year or by next year, so that you can see the progress you're making with your business and it's going in the direction you want it to go. So some people just don't think that way. I mean, I've spent all day, like from 8 to 5, one-on-one with a business owner, trying to get them to understand the way they need to step out of the box. So you asked if there's a tip or a trick. The one most important thing I would say is most business owners are very busy working on the business, putting out fires and doing what comes across their desk every day, and they don't take the time and set it aside on a regular basis to work on the business. So I suggest at least 1 to 2 hours a week. You should not be doing anything that has to do with your regular everyday running the business. You should step out and look at the business from a big picture and figure out what you need to do different to get you where you want to go. Because if you don't, things just prod along the way they do, and you don't have time to really strategize and make the changes that you should be to get your business where you really want it.
So, when you mentioned get you where you want to go, where is that I want to go? How do you measure that? Some people, like you've talked also about measuring success. Is it like I want to go until I make $1 million, or I want to go till I have 7 franchises? What are, let's say, one of the more intelligent answers you've heard, and what are some of the strangest ones you've heard?
Okay, I'll give you some specific examples. Some of the businesses I've coached don't want to make more money, which sounds crazy, but they're already making good money, and instead what they've hired me for is to help give their life back. They want to work less hours without decreasing their pay so they can spend more time at home with their family and friends and doing the things they love.
A better way of doing what they're doing.
Yes, and even if the business doesn't grow, they're okay because they're profitable already,
They're okay.
but they don't want to spend 80 hours a week anymore. They've had enough, and they want to still make good money, and they want to cut it back. So for them, success a year from now would be working maybe 25 or 30% less hours than you were, making the same or more money than you were.
Very interesting.
That's for that person. Now, another person might be totally different. They're just starting out. They don't have a clue. And they know that this is what they want to do. They know they're good at it, but they don't know how to pull it all together so that a year from now, when they look back at today and see the progress they've made, that they can feel real good about where they've gotten themselves. So success, whether it's personal success or business success, is in the eyes of the beholder. And we don't get to tell others what success should be. It's helping each person to figure out what success is to them and then what they need to change in the way they're doing things to get there.
Okay. It seems like there are never, well, this actually was part of the answer you just gave, but it seems like there are never enough hours in a day for a small business owner to get everything done. What can they do to take better control of their time?
Actually, that is something a little bit different. And when I first heard about this, I fought it night and day and would not do it until I finally did it, and then it worked. And what that is having a model week.
Is this like a time management sort of thing? Or?
Well, it's having an actual written model week. So here's what I mean. If, let's just say your week starts Monday at 9 in the morning, and Mondays you work 9 to 5, Tuesdays it's 9 to 8, and Wednesdays it's whatever. So whatever your hours are, what are you specifically doing during those hours? So, for example, with the financial advisory practices that I coach, they have certain times that they see clients and other times that they will not see a client. Because if they see clients morning, noon, and night 5 days a week, when do they sit down and strategize the case? When do they figure out what they want to work on with this client? When do they place the trades? When do they do their research? When do they do? So you need to have a schedule. And you break it down into 3 categories. The first is the things that actually bring money into the business, which would be, in that example, sitting with a client or out conducting some kind of an event, but not planning the event, but actually being at the event with the client, conducting the event. The second type of day would be, we call it a free day, which would be you do nothing with work. You don't answer a phone, you don't look at an email, you don't read a magazine. You are 100% there for yourself and for your family.
It's called the Sabbath.
It's called a Sabbath. But a lot of people with technology, the way it is today, they can't put it down. It's really hard. And then the third type of day is like a cleanup day. And that's the day that enables you to have the free days because you did set time aside to work on the business. You did set time aside to strategize the case that you're going to present to your client or figure out your marketing or figure out your budget or whatever you need to do to run that business. You have specific time set aside for that.
Actually, When I was a therapist, I was a biofeedback therapist, and sometimes when women would come to me and their husbands were working 24/7 on the business, and that was a real contentious thing to keep the marriage going. And I think your idea to help the person, take some free time from the business also allows them to have a better marriage.
Exactly.
For the last several years, the investment markets have been so volatile. As a very successful financial advisor and asset manager, can you offer advice for people that are concerned about their money?
Yes, and just in the last few days, it's been extremely volatile. So,
You're talking about because of the government shutdown, or
regardless of what's causing it, I almost don't care what's causing it. It's just looking at how it's affecting your finances. And do you have your finances set up properly so that if it is affecting it, it's not hurting you in any way? So first general rule of thumb, any money that you think you're going to be needing to use within the next 3 to 5 years should not be in the market anyway. Even though it may earn little to nothing, you're better off earning little to nothing and having it secure if you know you have to write the check for college next year or buy the car the next year or whatever it is. Longer term money, it doesn't matter if it fluctuates day to day because you don't need it now anyway. And if you're putting money in, like say you have a 401k at work and they're taking out of your pay and you're adding, what you may not feel you want, but you really do want, is you want the market to go down and stay down. And the reason for that is you want to when you're adding money out of your paycheck to buy something, you want it to be as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
It amazes me that
because over time it's going to go up.
And that's all you care about is like just before you're ready to take it, you want it to go up.
That it went
But
up.
you have to monitor it and then keep in mind that 3 to 5 year period that I talked about. It amazes me that most people buy everything differently than they do their investments. So like if you saw a coat at the store and it was $200 and you said, I don't want to buy this coat, it's $200. If you go back next month and it's $300, do you think now it's really a good coat so you're going to buy it? I don't think so. Do you wait for it to go down to 150 and then you buy it? Yes, you do. And you do that with a car, you do that with a house, you do that with most things. But with investments, when they go down in value, you think they're not good and you shouldn't have them and you want to get out. So it's having the right mindset to know how to properly manage your assets and only have money put away in things that fluctuate if it's not short-term money.
So now your book also talks about life, not just about business, and your experience with a life. Now the book is very funny, and you have some funny episodes in the book, and you also have some quotes or call-outs. Oh, can you read some of those? First of all, tell us that funny story.
Sure. The end of every chapter has quotes that I live by, either for business or for work. And then in the back of the book, they're all summed up. So I'll just pick a few in different categories. For business, do the right thing and the money will come. When I first started my business, the parent company would send me a book in shrink wrap about this thick on how I would be paid for every product or service that I sold a client, and I never took the shrink wrap off, and I always threw it in the garbage because I was afraid if I knew how I was paid, it might even subconsciously slant me towards something, and I didn't want that to happen. I'm a firm believer, do the right thing, the money will come. Just when we think we can't take any more, we are handed something else, and we find a way to get through it. We're a lot stronger than we think we might be.
I like that. I can actually relate to that. This happened to me. I'm happy you wrote that.
I think it happens to a
everybody.
lot of people. I mean, it's
Actually,
unbelievable.
I love challenge because I learn from it, and it makes me stronger, and that's what you wrote in the book. I was happy to see that.
It's interesting you say that because I was just going to say something along those same lines. Two people with exactly the same situation, negative situation, can view it and act on it differently. And we get to pick which side of the fence we fall on.
Oh, I love it. It's a learning experience. It's a challenge. I love challenges.
Is it gloom and doom and, oh my God, I'll never do it again? Or good experience, I learned from it, and I'm going to be even better
Well,
because
you hear
of
so
it.
many people that were fired or they lost a business and they thought it's all over. In reality, many successful people lost the business or went broke. Yeah, you said it yourself too. You know, you lost the business or you went broke first before you became a success. So, you
My
have to have
ex-husband even
experience.
says to me, if it wasn't for he and I getting a divorce, I wouldn't be as successful as I am
There
today.
you go. And you know what? Also, when people are laid off from a position and they go somewhere else, they have the experience of that other place. Well, we have to almost finish the show pretty soon.
Okay.
But one of the things that was a success in life is you had, after a divorce, you had a successful marriage.
Right. We dated for 10 years because we wanted to make sure we got it right this time. And as of May of this year, we've been married 20. So it's been going very, very well.
And another thing in the book you wrote, you mentioned a bucket list of places that, adventurous things you wanted to do. One of the things I was surprised, you mentioned that you wanted to go to Israel, but you didn't because it was too dangerous. So for someone who wants challenges, like that doesn't fit in there. You went to the shark
cage, but I didn't want to go to Israel, right?
But you didn't know at the time when I read the book that I had been to Israel, and I went there through thick and thin, and I wrote a book which is very similar to yours, and I said we have a lot in common, and it's called Leaving Home, Going Home, Returning Home, and you're the first guest that I'm giving a copy to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So when you do go to Israel, you're going to read the book first, and it'll prepare you for that trip. So part of the reason why people have a problem is because they didn't do their education or they're not prepared. So when you are prepared, you'll have a great time when you go. Okay? One last message you have for the audience about life or about your book. Well, first of all, what are you doing now?
When I sold the business in 2007, I set up a national speaking business. So I speak nationally now. I'm also a business coach, and I teach continuing education classes for financial professionals and insurance professionals. The difference is when I sold the business, I don't have to work anymore, but I can't sit home and do nothing. And with all the knowledge I've built up over the years, I wanted a way to pass it on, and this is how I'm doing it.
You have to enjoy your life, and if work is what you enjoy, then do it, and you have to take vacation too.
Right.
God rested on the seventh day, As we do in every show, we have the author sign over a copy to meet the author. There you go.
And did you want to talk about where they can get the book?
You can tell them.
Okay. You can go to the website at www.aboveallelse.org, and it's also on Amazon. But if you buy it on the website, it's a little less expensive, and I will autograph it before it goes out.
There you go. That's yours.
Above all else, I wish you a successful life and a successful business.
Thank you. So one last place that you want to go, another place that you want to go, lastly?
Well, it's funny because
thing that you haven't done?
Yeah, one thing, once I checked off the South Africa safari, I started thinking, what
else do I do?
As I check them all off, do I then die or do I have to find something else? So
I go back to work.
No, I don't think so. But I did add something to the list. So my next thing that I've added to the list is to take flight lessons. I will learn how to fly a plane.
Whoa, that's a good one. All
Yes.
right, that's real freedom. Actually, you're going to go to Mars, right? Because
No.
they're already selling tickets.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, I'm not going tomorrow, but I will be doing it at some
going
point.
to Mars.
Going to Mars.
Yeah, people are selling
Are you
tickets.
talking about Branson's thing? Yes, I know what you're talking about.
For
That
the
would
rich
be
and
really
famous.
neat. I would love to do that.
For the rich and
It's
famous.
probably
There
a
you
little
go.
too expensive. I'm not that rich.
We know. Russia's giving cheaper prices.
Okay.
Well, that was another episode of Meet the Author, and that was great.